Now that it's won 5 Oscars, including Best Director, Best Actress, and Best Picture of the Year, let's talk about Anora. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the award-winning Anora. I actually saw this a few weeks ago, but was waiting to do a review because I figured it was going to win at least 1 or 2 of the big awards and maybe get another theatrical push. So I decided to hold off on my review, and sure enough, it took home 5 trophies. We're going to talk about all of that, and do I think it should have won those, and my review for the movie, and what the movie's about here in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews subscribers already, thank you so much for returning. I love having you come back. But if you're not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell too, so you get the alerts for all my new video drops. I try to post something just about every day, and I've already covered a handful of the Oscar movies in review form. I did The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, The Nickel Boys, Emilia Perez. I've done a few, Wicked, but there are still a few more to be done, so I'll be covering those in the days and weeks ahead. But I figured, look, I have to get this Anora review out because obviously a lot of people talking about this movie right after the Oscars. So Sean Baker wrote and directed this, and turns out he edited it as well, and it won Best Editing, Best Screenplay, Best Director, but it also won Best Picture, which means he takes home a trophy for that, as well as producer. So he is the first person in Oscars history to win 4 Oscars for the same film in one night. Walt Disney won 4 Oscars in one night in the 50s. I believe it was 1952, but some of those were like short subjects and other things that were not the same film. And Bong Joon-ho came close with Parasite a few years ago, but for whatever reason, the Best International Feature Oscar goes to the country, not the director. So he won Screenplay, Director, and Picture, and International Feature, but because of the technicality, he really only won 3 himself. But Sean Baker won 4 of the 5. The other one went to Best Actress for Mickey Madison, and that was a pretty hotly contested category because Demi Moore, certainly a lot of people were looking for a win there for her, and really not just for a great performance in The Substance, but sort of a thank you for a whole career. You know, the Oscars like to do that sometimes with, Jamie Lee Curtis winning a couple of years ago for Everything Everywhere, or The Whale for Brendan Fraser winning. But it did not go Demi's way this time, and it was just an Anora kind of night at the Oscars, so Mickey Madison reaped the rewards of that as well. And she plays here a 23-year-old stripper named Anora, or Annie, and she is living in Brighton Beach in a Russian-American neighborhood in the Brooklyn part of New York, and she is a stripper. And she ends up marrying the son of a Russian oligarch that is introduced to her by her boss. Apparently money is no object for this guy, so he takes her out of the club and ends up, purchasing her for the evening, and then for more and more extended periods of time, and eventually marrying her, much to her family's chagrin. And as a result, they send some people to bring him back to Russia, but he ends up disappearing. So that's all we'll say really about the story. The rest of the movie then is sort of Anora going along with these guys trying to find him and get to the bottom of everything. So this did have another acting nomination in the supporting category for actor of Yura Borisov, and he was great as Igor, who was a Russian henchman. But look, that was Kieran Culkin's to lose for sure, and he did not lose it. He got pretty much every award this season for his work in A Real Pain, which I agree with. I think that's great. But look, Borisov did a great job, but I think the category was stacked enough that he just really didn't have a chance at winning, even with all the Anora love. But you also have Mark Eidelstein as Vanya, who is the son of the Russian oligarch that marries Anora. And so he is part of this film as well. Everybody else is, somebody of Russian descent or Russian-American descent that I did not really recognize. Vasha Tovmayazin, Karen Karagulian, and the like. So But really, the main focus here is on Anora and maybe some of the Russian henchmen as well. But Anora is certainly the star. I would have to go back and watch, but I think she's in just about every scene of this movie. So she really does a lot of heavy lifting here. And look, let's talk about it. Is this an Oscar-worthy performance? And to be honest, I think it is. I think this was really, really a tough call this year between Madison and Demi Moore. And I look, I love Demi Moore. I've been a fan for a long, long time. Sure, it's a little bummer that she didn't win, but that's not to take anything away from Mickey's performance. She deserved it just as much, really, as Demi did. If we're doing performance for performance and not a lifelong, history of film, this is her highest profile role, Mickey Madison. But you may have seen her in some other things. She was in one of the recent Scream movies. She was part of Better Things on FX, which ran for I think 6 seasons. She was one of Pamela Adlon's daughters in that. Good performance there as well. But certainly, being the title character of this really high profile movie, this is her big break, and I think she nailed it. This is a fantastic performance. And look, a lot of people have said Demi Moore's performance is fearless in the substance. Yeah, it sure is. But so is this. Mickey Madison's performance is fearless. There is a lot of different acting abilities going into this because this movie is a few different things. Certainly in the beginning, she has to adapt to this, stripper girl party lifestyle, at the club, lying to her clients to, entice them into spending more money, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've got that whole universe. And then we've got her, married life, as short as that becomes, because then the people come after them pretty quickly, Anora and her new husband. And so then we've got this fear, and there's a lot of screaming and a lot of fighting and all of that, and so she's got that. And then we go to sort of not well, we see anger with the fighting and everything, but then we go to sort of more, okay, let's just figure out what we're doing, let's get this over with. And we have a handful of really dramatic scenes there, where she's got to show a wide range of emotions that I think she kills. And then the end of the movie, we're not going to get into specifically because of spoilers, but this ends in a very, very interesting way that I didn't quite see coming, but it is a remarkable turn for a couple of these characters, including Anora herself. So, look, if you want to talk about character arcs, Anora has that in spades. And really, because it is so focused on her character, that it really makes sense that she would have won Best Actress, because she was so incredible in this role. So let's talk about the rest of it. Sean Baker obviously had a huge hand in this as well, with the writing and the editing and the directing. I will say that my biggest complaint about the movie, and really one of my only complaints, is that it has this big chunk in the middle of, maybe, I didn't time it, but it's got to be at least 20 or 25 minutes of this sort of like montage where Anora and the Russian guys, the guys for hire, are out there, looking for her husband and everything, and it leans a little more into the comedic than I think the rest of the movie does, but at the same time, it also goes on way, way too long, which is why it's a little bit comical to me that Sean Baker won for editing, because to me, a movie like Conclave or whatever might have had better editing, because this had some wasted time for sure. And that is one of the reasons I didn't quite give it as high a grade as some of the other Best Picture nominees. I think it's worthy of the Best Picture win, I will say that, among some of the other films nominated, but I certainly don't give it as high of a grade as some of those, because of that 20-minute chunk in the middle. It's actually a bit boring. It could have been just cut out completely. But other than that, I think the script is really, really tight. This is an interesting character, Anora. And some of the people surrounding her are maybe a little more one note, but I think there's an interesting aspect to their characters too, because these Russian guys are just kind of yes men, and then we have some of the other people at the club that Anora is either friends with or enemies with, and we see some sort of rivalries there. So the characters might kind of seem one note on the page, but I think with Baker's directing, and I think with some of the acting choices, and maybe some of the editing, yeah, we get, I think, more well-rounded characters maybe than were even on the page. But as written, I think they're pretty good characters too. If you actually really look a little bit deeper into what's happening on the screen as the movie unfolds. So look, would I have given this Best Picture? No. My favorite couple movies of the year were not nominated, but of the ones that were, I think Wicked is a better film. I think Conclave is a better film. I think I'm Still Here is probably a better film, but this definitely deserved to be part of the conversation, and I can't fault it for any of its wins. And congratulations to Sean Baker for all of the awards love. I've been following his career for a little while. I think one of the potential snubs a couple of years ago was his movie Red Rocket, which is great if you are interested now in sort of going back and looking at Sean Baker's stuff. Maybe after this one, go check out Red Rocket. I leave Anora with an A minus. And probably one of the highest A minuses of the year. I will say that. I mean, it's close to an A, but it's just so boring in that middle sort of 20-minute section that it definitely dipped a little bit for me. But it will probably be returning to theaters after all of the Oscar wins. So if you missed it the first time around, check it out. Coming soon, probably to a theater near you. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. Look for my other Oscar reviews that are, some are on the page already and some are upcoming, but we'll get to all of them eventually here. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.